All right, so we looked at Chinese economy, Chinese family, and the importance of the clan and the role of women. Now we're going to look at some of its culture, right? We're going to find out what China's first realistic social novel is, what's considered to be China's most distinguished popular novel. I'll explain that in a second. And then we'll talk about the Forbidden City or the Imperial City built by Yong Li, which we first mentioned way back in section 1. So The Golden Lotus is considered to be the first realistic social novel, right? It's not about gods or heroes or magic or legends or folklore or anything like that. It's actually about all the intrigue and backbiting all within this one family where everyone is kind of vying for power and influence and wealth and control, right? It's kind of soap opera-ish, if you will, full of drama and betrayal and that kind of thing. Now, China's most distinguished popular novel, what that means is it's a classic that everyone still reads. Right? How, like in the West, by the time you graduate high school, you are going to read something by William Shakespeare, right? Something. And you're probably also going to read something here in America, something by Mark Twain, right, before you graduate, right? And you're going to read something by Edgar Allan Poe before you graduate. Same thing. Every child in China is going to read at least part of The Dream of the Red Chamber, right? Its most distinguished popular social novel, written by Cao Zhu right? There are scholars who dedicate their entire careers simply to studying this one book. It's a large book, has hundreds of characters in it, and it's all about the rise and fall of one family, right? And it's very important because it talks about Chinese medicine, Chinese cuisine, proverbs, mythology, Confucianism, Buddhism, Taoism, the family relationships, opera, music, what happens at a Chinese funeral, painting. Classic Chinese literature is mentioned inside this piece of classic literature, right? So you can learn a massive amount from this book just by reading this book, right? And that's one reason why so many people do, right? They study it for insights. All right, what was it like when this book was written? It was written during the late Qing Dynasty. What was it like to be in a family that at one point was really powerful and rich and well connected, that all of a sudden falls out of favor? What was it like, right, to live during that time period? It's one reason why we still study literature. It's one reason why your history book mentions literature, because literature, like art, reflects the society that made it, right? And now we're going to look at the imperial city, right? The forbidden city. It's called forbidden because commoners were forbidden to approach it, right? You would actually be executed if you try to get inside the forbidden city, and you weren't supposed to be inside the forbidden city. And it's an expression of Yong Li's power and the emperors that come after him. So we're going to look at that for a bit. So this is an aerial shot of the Forbidden City, right? As you can see, it's quite large. It's a massive complex. It's not just one building, it's many buildings with awesome names, such as, right, the Gate of Divine Prowess, right? Gate of Supreme Harmony, Hall of Central Harmony, Gate of Heavenly Purity, right? Tower of State Benevolence, Tower of Enhanced Righteousness, right? Hall of Heavenly Purity. As you've probably figured out, everything means something, right? It's full of symbolism. So you go back to this aerial shot, you notice the yellow roof tiles. That's because yellow represents supreme power, and only the emperor, right, had access to that color yellow, right? If you look or zoom in, right, into and go inside the Forbidden City, you're gonna see there's those yellow tiles again, and you can see the color red everywhere because red is associated with good luck and prosperity in Chinese culture, right? The only buildings not painted red was the library because red means fire, and you don't want the building full of paper, right, to be painted red. Then you zoom in, right? Notice on the door here, there are in each door there are 9 rows of 9 nails, right? Because the number 9, right, is good luck in Chinese culture. So you see the number 9 repeated throughout the whole complex. So on some buildings, there are 9 dragons on top of each corner of the roof. It said there's 9,999 rooms in the Forbidden City. So everything, right, means something. Everything from the color yellow to the color red to the color black, which is the library's painted in, to the number 9, right, to the names of the buildings. Everything is symbolic. Everything has a meaning. Everything has a purpose. Now, it's not a true palace anymore. No one actually lives there now because China doesn't have an emperor anymore because China is communist, which you probably already know. So now it's like one big historical site, like Versailles, right? It's a museum. You can go and take a tour, right? But everything means something, which is pretty neat. Now, I'll put a link to this website that we're looking at. I'll put it on portals so you can look around virtually and kind of see what it's like inside the Forbidden City because it's pretty nifty. It's pretty cool to look at. One other thing that your book mentions that China during this time period is famous for, besides its novels, besides its books, beside the Forbidden City, which once again is utterly massive, as you can see in this picture here, is its porcelain, particularly its blue and white porcelain, right? The Europeans couldn't get enough of this stuff, right? The Europeans wanted it and they want as much of it as they could get. And in fact, if you have, right, a vase or piece of porcelain from this time period, from the Ming dynasty in particular, it's still very, very expensive. It's quite rare, it's quite valuable, and it's quite prized. It's kind of like how some people want art on their wall, right? Some people want this specific porcelain from the Ming era China.